Hi there, welcome to Gaining Vision. I'm Melanie. Thanks so much for clicking. To my returning subscribers, thank you for your continuous love and support. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Please feel at home. Have you had a chance to hit that subscribe button yet? If not, what are you waiting for? Go ahead, hit it. It's free, no charge at all. Each and every one of us has had different lived experiences. I can't understand what your experience is because I'm not in your shoes, and you can't understand what's in mine. And this is important for us to understand, but also for us to learn to listen to one another's lived experiences, especially when it comes to the topic of racism. Obviously, I will never understand what it's like to face racism. Never. But I need to listen and be an ally. So when I came across a video of a white broadcaster interviewing the chairperson of the EFF on a hot topic of what she termed as racist, I thought, oh boy, because she really didn't get it. She didn't understand that her perspective wasn't the only one that was important in this topic. It was when Julius Malema made a comment that the majority of Indians were racist, that they hated black people.
But the party is fighting back. Recently, EFF leader Julius Malema said that the majority of Indians hate Africans. The majority of Indians are racist. He said the same thing applied to some of what he called colored brothers. Let's start by listening to what EFF leader Julius Malema said.
Majority of Indians hate Africans. Majority of Indians are racist. And we must never be scared to say that. They are racist. I'm not saying all Indians.
Is it really necessary to inflame divisions, given our history?
No, it's not necessary to inflame divisions, and nobody has inflamed divisions. By pointing out the inequalities that were created by apartheid, I don't think anybody would be inflaming divisions. It would be, what you're saying would be as absurd as saying, if someone says that there are differences between men and women, then you say you are inflaming gender divisions. By pointing out a problem, it doesn't mean that you are inflaming it. Actually, what we're saying is that it must be addressed.
But she was asking questions that were very focused on her perspective. She wanted to know why this was acceptable. And the chairperson of the EFF was very calm, explaining their perspective of the EFF and standing behind Julius Malema's statement.
This was accusing the majority of Indian people. This is stereotypical. This is a vast generalization. The majority of Indian people hate Africans. That's not pointing out a difference.
That's racism. I don't know what is stereotypical about it. You know, all these so-called commentators who are supposed to be learned people are asking us, where's the evidence? And we say that's a stupid question. All they have to do is just to phone the IEC and see the voting statistics in any Indian community in South Africa. They will realize that those communities support racist parties. And,
so your proof that Indians hate Africans is that they vote for the DA, in a nutshell. Would
yes,
that really stand up in court, Mr. Mpofu?
In what court?
Proof that the majority of Indians hate Africans is that they vote for the DA.
Yes, because
is that really the argument?
Yes, unless if you are born in Mars and you're not from South Africa and you don't know that the DA stands for the preservation of inequality, the preservation of racism, the preservation of all the privileges that were acquired through killing our people. Unless if you don't know that, then you'll think that it's just a mere coincidence that white people, for example, 90% or 100% of them vote for the DA.
So now you're saying that anybody in this country, let's just get this right, anybody in this country who chooses, and remember we're a democracy, they can choose a party for whatever reason. We don't know what people's motives
Even
are,
for racist
but you're
reasons,
saying that they are choosing the DA because they hate Africans. That's the leap here.
Yeah, listen carefully. They choose the DA because the DA seeks to maintain the status quo. What is the status quo? The status quo is a situation where African people are at the bottom of the rank. Why are they at the bottom of the rank? Because for 360 years of colonialism and apartheid, they've been put there. Legislatively, And to do that, it didn't fall from the sky. People were killed. There were passed laws, Bantu education. You know, the thing that says Bantu education, who's the Bantu? It's the African people. So all that hatred was reserved for those people specifically. So anybody who seeks to preserve that status quo as opposed to changing it is a out and out racist. Eliminate. So we can't be allowed to speak about gender discrimination, but oh no, you can't talk about this one, it's taboo. If you talk about gender discrimination, you are not entrenching it. But if you are talking about race discrimination or ethnic discrimination, then you are entrenching it. What kind of nonsense is that? Because it's illogical to say that there must be areas of discrimination that we don't address. The only way we will address our very bitter past is to address it. And what we've said it openly, it's not the fault of Indian people that apartheid government spent, for example, more money on an Indian child than on an African child. It's not their fault, but it's the reality. It's the outcome. So to address those inequalities, you have to talk about them, unfortunately.
So you're saying it's justified to attack them because they were the beneficiaries?
Who's attacking anyone?
Can I finish? To accuse them of hate because they were the beneficiaries of the apartheid system through no fault of their own. They were beneficiaries. We accept that.
Yeah.
Are you not attacking the dignity of Indian people here? You're saying they don't have the agency to want to overcome those past inequalities. They don't have the agency to say, I've overcome it and I don't hate anybody.
Oh, I see. Okay, two answers to that. Firstly, I've never heard of an absurdity of somebody who is accusing someone of racism, and then you accuse the perpetrator of, or you say the perpetrator's dignity is being attacked. Yes. Obviously, the dignity, that's important.
You're lumping all Indians together.
No.
You're making judgments.
Well, then you didn't listen to your only clip.
Of their skin. Is that not racism?
It means you don't even listen to your own clip. You've just played a clip where Julius Malema has just said, I am not saying all Indians, and you are just saying they're being lumped, which means you don't listen to your
all
own.
for it to be racism? Is it
to
not
lump.
enough? Is it not enough to lump people together?
We're talking about lumping. Your thing of lumping is saying lumping all Indians.
Okay, let me rephrase. To use a vast generalization, is that not problematic?
No, but how can it be a generalization when you are saying not all Indians are racist? How can it be that be a generalization?
Is a majority not a generalization?
No, it's not. A majority of Indians are racist. As the judge, a former judge of the Constitutional Court says, more than a majority, 90% are racist. He lives in that community. Why are you not asking him of attacking Indians? That alone is racist. The fact that you attack somebody who says 51%, but the one who says 90% is not attacked is itself racist, because you are discriminating between the other one because he is of Indian extraction. You see, that's how sick
there are other people who've made vast generalizations. One of them you attack because he makes vast generalizations about black people, Mahatma Gandhi himself. That's what. Why won't the EFF? I mean, as a country, we've decided to break with the past.
Yeah.
You must admit that emphasizing race over and over again can deepen divisions.
Yes.
Can stop us from following through on that decision to break from the past. Okay. Why won't you let South Africans say, no, I'm not going to be defined by the past?
No, that's the biggest problem you're making. You think racism is in the past. Racism is here. It's not, between you and me as we're sitting here, someone is looking at a black man and a white woman. So racism is alive.
Someone's looking at an Indian person now with new eyes.
Absolutely.
Because of the EFF's rhetoric.
No, but let me finish. You asked me a question.
Sure.
I'm saying racism is not in the past. It is in the present. What will make racism to be in the past is for us to talk about it, address it, and move away from it. But to close our eyes and blink ourselves and
question something, and if she didn't like the answer, she would come back and turn it around. She would twist the EFF chair's words in such a way, saying, so you're saying that this is blah, 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 it's something completely different. But my point in this is no matter what examples the EFF chair gave, whether it was using the example of gender, men and women.
It would be, what you're saying would be as absurd as saying, if someone says that there are differences between men and women, then you say you are inflaming gender divisions. by pointing out a problem, it doesn't mean that you are inflaming it. Actually, what we're saying is that it must be addressed.
Or child being hungry. She still wasn't getting it. She kept saying. So you're saying that racial divides is the way that EFF sees it's the best way to go forward despite the history? He explained very patiently that no, in fact, it's about talking about what's happening. Racism is not in the past. It is still currently alive.
That's the biggest problem you're making. You think racism is in the past. Racism is here. It's not, between you and me as we're sitting here, someone is looking at a black man and a white woman. So racism is alive.
At an Indian person now with new eyes.
Absolutely.
Because of the EFF's rhetoric.
No, but let me finish. You asked me a question.
Sure.
I'm saying racism is not in the past. It is in the present. What will make racism to be in the past is for us to talk about it, address it, and move away from it. But to close our eyes and blink ourselves and pretend that it is not there, it will not go away, like any other form of discrimination. If sexism is not addressed aggressively by all of us, it will be here. So to say it's in the past is just wishful thinking. This thing of rainbowism is the biggest load of nonsense you've ever heard in your life. In any event, if you can't say you want a rainbow nation, but you say you don't see color, because the rainbow itself has got colors.
And unless you address it head on, it can continue to happen. But she kept turning it around and coming back to the fact that it's a racist statement. How can you say the majority of Indians are racist? How can you do this? Even when the chairperson shared the example of the lawyer who was of Indian descent, said, in fact, he felt that 90% of Indians were racist. It didn't matter. She kept going back and back at the EFF and what her perspective was and how nothing would happen in moving South Africa forward unless they came to an understanding about racism. And he said, exactly, that's what I'm trying to tell you, in the sense that we need to address it. It's like a bitter pill to swallow. Nobody wants to talk about it because it's a taboo subject. But unless we address it head on, nothing will ever change. This broadcaster, although she felt she was clever, coming back and saying, well, you're saying this, so this is what her interpretation of it was. I found this very disheartening because even by the end of the interview, you could tell this broadcaster didn't understand. The EFF stayed on point, stayed true to his belief in the EFF's perspective of what Julius Malema said. And it wasn't even about the fact of the statement was that the majority of Indians were racist. It was the fact that they're speaking their truth. They're speaking to the point where this still needs to be addressed. It's not something that we've moved on from because we have democracy. It's something still happening every day. So we need to talk about it. We need to come to the table and understand each other's perspective. As I mentioned, everybody's lived experience is different. I want you to take a listen to this interview because it's really, really important for us to understand how this broadcaster's bias, perspective, and points of view were trying to come across the EFF, and how the chairperson of the EFF would have none of it, stood his ground, stayed true to who he was and his beliefs. I think this is really important for us as human beings to really understand that we're diverse. We have many different opinions. We don't have to agree with everybody. We don't have to stay on one side. But we can't change the narrative by just coming up with our own perspective to make the other person believe that. We have to listen carefully. We have to take time and try to understand what their perspective is saying. Overall, we know in South Africa, there's a need for people to understand racism and understand different people's perspectives in order for South Africa to move forward. This is just one example of many of the interviews I've come across, and I wanted to share it here because I think it's time that we address the fact that racism does exist. And in order for us to understand and move forward and work collaboratively, we need to listen to people experiencing it, because as a white person, we cannot understand that point of view. We can listen and be allies, but we can never live that experience. I'd love to hear your comments on this interview. Drop them below. Let's have a discussion. How can we move forward? Do you feel that people have the right to share their perspective on how they have a lived experience and should be listening and live and understand from it? I think it's so vital. Until next time, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like and share, and hit that notification button so you'll be notified each and every time that I upload some new content. Until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.